Thank you so much, Zirbi. Thank you all. Good afternoon to everybody. It's good that Konrad Adenauer Stiftung is a partner of this important event. And although it's my first summit, since I'm new to this program, I'm really glad that you have me and us in your program. Let me tell you a story about a loving mother and beloved musician. You may know this story because it hit the news only some days ago. But this story, I think, is worth to be remembered in our fast-circling world, and it is not as clear-cut as it might seem at first glance. The story is about a very talented woman, 57 years old, singer of a Czech band, performing Irish and Scottish folk music, and she had heard that vaccinations are dangerous, especially when it comes to COVID-19 vaccinations, due to the short time of developing and thoroughly examining the vaccines. Therefore, this woman, Hannah Horka, decided to contract the coronavirus intentionally, since in her native Czech Republic, as in many countries, you need either proof of vaccination or of recovery from a recent infection to regain access to specific parts of cultural and public life. And when her son, Reg, also a professional musician, and his father, her husband, got the infection over Christmas, although both men were vaccinated other than her, she didn't isolate herself, but kept hanging around with her family and in close contact, hoping for getting infected. And she succeeded. Hannah Horka caught the virus, posted on social media about her corona experience, told her fans that the illness was kind of tough, but so her conclusion, I survived, it was intense. Horka went on, so now there will be the theater, sauna, a concert, and an urgent trip to the sea. And she added, life is here for me and for you. No, life wasn't for her any longer. The Saturday before last, Hannah Horka got up, felt fit, dressed herself, and got ready for a walk. But then this legend of folk music, a lady with a wonderful voice, started to complain about back pain, laid down on her bed and suffocated, shocked to death within only 10 minutes, as her son told the media. Complications from media, her doctor diagnosed. Reg Horka, the son, blames the Czech anti-vax movement for the loss. His mother often shared the claims of anti-vaxxers on her social media accounts. Therefore, Reg said this movement had blood on their hands. But there's a second part of the story. Hannah Horka wasn't a lunatic. She didn't belong to those conspiracy believers who claim that the vaccines would smuggle and implant microchips by Bill Gates into our bloodstream and make us to robots of the internet giants or of dark New World Order forces. Instead, the singer followed people who argued that self-immunization is better, safer, healthier than the vaccines. So, in short, Mother Nature should help, not academic science. Is that misinformation, disinformation, or a widespread and more or less convincing notion that we also have heard from time to time from orthodox doctors? I personally trust in science, maybe even in scientism. I'm fully vaccinated and boosted, and I'm convinced that my fourth jab will come sooner rather than later. Yes, I have a religious Christian belief, but besides that, I expect that science will save our world, our climate, our shortage of clean energy, our lives. Nevertheless, I have a lot of friends who would say that living in ease with the nature is a good recipe for all of us. And it's not too long ago that many politicians and also scientists, at least in Europe, frequently spoke about herd immunity and about natural antibodies after COVID-19 infection as the best way to get immunized. Today, the term herd immunity is nearly forgotten. Why do I tell this? in my view, it is important to fight misinformation about health questions, about vaccinations, about COVID-19. Therefore, we have this event. But my appeal is we must distinguish between misleading and intentionally disinforming the public on one side and dissenting unfamiliar views on the other side. It's not too long ago, less than 2 years, that many European, also German politicians explained to the public that masks are not needed or even harmful. And today they are mandatory indoors and in some countries like Singapore, even outdoor. In Great Britain, all corona requirements have been lifted just today, while in Germany, politicians are calling for mandatory vaccinations. One way might be right, the other a disaster, but which is which? That means the truth of today is very often the misinformation of tomorrow, and sometimes it could be just the other way. That makes it much more complicated for us, and especially for journalists and the media, to differ between facts, between fakes, and between new findings. But that is our responsibility. Let's always get to the bottom of controversial issues. Let's fight misinformation, but let's try at the same time to listen carefully to the other side. My last word. I would have wished that Hannah Hawker would have accepted the vaccination. I'm sure she would still sing. Thank you for listening.